Good morning. Good morning to you all.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, today, shall we start? Okay. Today we will discuss method of procurement, and under the methods of procurement there are 13. Yeah, there are 14 methods to be discussed here. The first one is international competitive bidding. Right? It's a international competitive bidding, so across the border, right? In where the local and international bidders will participate in the procurement process. It's mean what the bidders, the suppliers can be local supplier or international supplier or contractor. National competitive bidding, so it's limited to the domestic, the local suppliers. Limited or restricted international competitive bidding, and limited or restricted national competitive bidding. So 1 and 2 is open one, and the third one is the limited one, closed. Shopping or national shopping, direct contracting, repeat orders, force account, emergency procurement, community participation in procurement, direct contracting for Government of Sri Lanka funded projects, two-stage bidding, two-envelope system, pre-qualification of bidders, and switch challenging. So these are the things. These are the methods normally applied in the public sector procurement process. International competitive bidding, first we'll discuss it. So international competitive bidding refers to the methods of procurement where procuring entity is required to give international publicity to the procurement notice in various media to ensure maximum competition. It is normally done for the vast value projects, large projects, right? So most of the time the local contractors, suppliers may not have enough capacity to undertake that project, undertake the supply or the work or the services. So procurement entity is required to number one, advertise in one widely circulated national newspaper. So they can so they have to advertise invitation for bid for national competitive bidding. They have to advertise in national newspaper, but in national competitive bidding also it is applicable. So they can advertise in national wide newspaper, and the international suppliers will monitor, interested parties will monitor the national newspapers, and they will get informed, and they can apply for contracting. So first, advertise in one widely circulated national newspaper, and a relevant website where possible. So many of public sector organizations, they have their own websites. These organizations are more popular, so many suppliers time to time regularly visit the sites. Internationally, such as UNDP, United Nations Development Board, and Development Gateways, DG Market. So here you can find the UNDP website. You can find there are so many invitation for bids. So transmit such invitation to embassies and trade representatives of countries from where the suppliers and contractors are likely to participate, and post them in the relevant website. And what they can do is, in addition to this, they can advertise the bids, invitation for bid, to the embassy's website. So embassies, they circulate to the embassies. The embassies will put notice, uh, put their invitation for bid in the notice board, and it can be circulated among the potential suppliers. Not all countries, but in our context, there are some countries are interested to make bids, to make contracts. India, China, and Bangladesh, and Dubai. So those kind of countries are more interested in participating in the contract. Here we can find the website. This is the most uh, popular method. Here they advertise in UNDP, so I can show you uh, UNDP tenders or bids. Here you can find that there are a lot. Here for US United Nations Development Program, not B, right? United Nations Development Program website. Then you can find there are a lot of tenders. You can find here. Can you see my screen?
The screen is not visible, sir.
Okay, sorry. Right. Here you can find there are so many bids, right? Here Colombia, Peru, Colombia. So there are a lot. Mexico, Cameroon, Nepal, Afghanistan, India, Libya, Turkey. So they have advertised so many bids, tender notices. And for example, I click one. You see Sri Lanka. Yeah, Sri Lanka recently called. It's a service, right? It's a service. Here, procurement process. Office, UNDP, country office, and advertise what? Request for proposal. Digital storytelling for social cohesion in Sri Lanka. So this is the bid, invitation for bid. So they can get more information on regarding this. Right. So this is the most popular method. Many countries advertise internationally. So such as an UNDP, not B, right? United Nations Development Program and Development Gateways, right? And another website, Development Gateway, DG Market. Here also you can find some tenders. Okay, there are so many tenders, and we will check out for our country. Right, here you can find there are so many tenders called. So provision for CSC in sea transportation of coal for the Lakpia power station at Patala. Hardware item procurement procured by Puranara Hospital G during the COVID period. You see, you can find a detailed one. And we have to subscribe to get more information on this. So this is one way of advertising. The DG market, so development gateway market, is one of the platform to advertise international bids. Right, international competitive bidding shall be used when the capacity of the domestic contractors, suppliers, and service providers are limited, and the advantage of ICB is evident. So normally government, public sector organizations give preference for the domestic suppliers, domestic contractors. Anyway, uh, for the large value project and high tech projects, the capacity of the local domestic contractors are not enough. So therefore, in these instances, government choose the international competitive bidding. For foreign funded projects, when foreign funding agency agreed procures the foreign funded project, when foreign funding agency agreement procures the procuring entity to resort to ICB procedure. For example, in our country, the port city project. So port city project is funded by China, and in the agreement they have required the government of Sri Lanka to award the contract to China. And some World Bank projects and World Bank projects normally they require to advertise their bidding internationally. So it's called international competitive bidding. However, in case of work contract, in the view of the development of domestic construction industry, the possibility of slicing the contract and following slice and packages approach to suit domestic contractors may be considered. So what does it mean is a large project, high value project, for example 100 billion project. So one contractor, single contractor cannot undertake all the things. So what they do is they make into pieces, slices. Here package 1, contract 1, or contract 2, contract 3, contract 4. Then they advertise slice by slice. Not at all. Here this one 20 billion, this is 30 billion, 40 billion, like that. So they make into some pieces and they advertise. So in these instances, the local contractors may get the opportunity to participate in the national competitive bidding. So national comparative bidding refers the method of procurement where the procuring entity required to give national national publicity, right? National publicity. So here international, the need for attracting international bidders is not required. So therefore, the coverage of the advertisement is limited to uh, national level, right? Island-wide, not international. The procurement notice in various media to ensure maximum competition domestically. So sometimes they advertise in the newspaper, sometimes they are advertised in their own website, and sometimes they are sending documents to the listed people, listed suppliers, registered suppliers, right? So anyway, they have to make publicity, and they have to ensure that it will ensure the maximum possible competition. Not so the secret invitation is not allowed. Secret invitation means selectively send the invitation for bid, so that is prohibited. So they have to ensure that maximum competition is there. So national comparative bidding is the comparative bidding procedure that shall be generally applicable for most government of Sri Lanka funded projects. So government funded projects normally prefer national comparative bidding, but international comparative bidding normally prefers for foreign funded project, since the funders are required to do so. When national comparative bidding is used, the procurement notice should be advertised at least one widely circulated national newspaper, and the National Procurement Agency website and other relevant website where possible. So normally, all public sector organization for the large value of procurement, they advertise in the national newspaper, right? Number 2, the B. Any supplier, service provider or contractor who desires to obtain bidding document should be allowed to purchase the same. Right? So once they advertise in the newspaper, so, invitation for bid, and that invitation they have provided relevant information. So where they can collect the full bid document, and what's the closing date, what's the opening date, and so the location of the bid opening. So all the things they should provide in the advertisement. So the procuring entity should provide should allow to purchase the bidding document. The bidding document is the full length document which offers in detailed information, provided the bidder is prepared to pay any specified fees. And the contractor, supplier or service provider should be allowed to purchase the bidding document up to any prior to the bid closing date. So closing date is 20th of May, and even in the last day, 19th May, if any suppliers willing to apply for the bid, the procuring entity, the public sector institution, should allow them to purchase, to allow them to participate the bid. So in case of contract for works, so works mean the construction works, to be eligible for contract award, the domestic contractors shall be valid and appropriate registration at the time of submitting the bid. Right? For the works, for the contract, so there are grades. There are grade: A grade contractor, B grade, C grade, D grade. Right? So based on their capacity, the ICTAT given the code. Based on the ICTAT is evaluate the contractor's capacity, financial capacity and technical capacity. Then they provide grade: A grade, B grade, like that. So for the large, so So based on the value of the contract, they will determine which level contractors are applicable or eligible to apply that contract, that work. So the thing is, here important thing is, so they have the contractor should obtain that grade before submitting the bid document, submit the bid. So first we apply for the tender, and later on they are getting a grade or registered from ICTAT is not allowed, right? This practice will not allowed. However, ICTAT registration should not be an eligibility criterion for purchasing the bidding document or submitting bid document. So anybody can purchase the bid document. Anybody who pays the registration fee or bid document fees can collect the bid document. However, only the eligible contractors can be forward their bid. National competitive bidding in foreign funded projects shall be used, right? So for example, World Bank is going to fund a project. So it is not the condition always. It's not the condition that they have to go for international bidding. No, it depends on the agreement. It depends on the funding agency. So national competitive bidding in foreign funded projects shall be used with agreement of foreign funding agency. So by allowing foreign contractors or suppliers to bid on the same term with the domestic contractors or the suppliers, right? So there's no discrimination between foreign contractors and international contractors. So no discrimination. So it gives fair chances to all, international and local. And by not giving preference to state-owned agencies or approved societies, etc. So normally the foreign funding projects, so they are following some sort of standards, they are maintaining some standards, therefore they are not like the discrimination between foreign contractors and local contractors, and also state-owned agencies like CECB, Central Engineering and Consultants Bureau. So normally they undertake contract, right? So for foreign funded projects, so normally the government sector organizations prefer to give contracts to government agencies, right? In case of foreign funded projects, they require that there is no such kind of preferences. So by not giving preference to the state-owned agencies or approved societies like cooperative societies, like that. By considering registration in appropriate category under the National Registration System of Institute of Construction, Training and Development, that's called ICTAT, as equivalent to experiences and qualification criteria described in the bidding documents. So it is very important. They have to obtain the eligible, they have to obtain the appropriate grade. Here you can visit the website and you can find ICTAT. This is here they can registration, there are levels, right? Then they have categorized field main construction contract, electrical, mechanical services, specialty, fishing, trading, right, other things, right? So they are giving some sort of certificates, so A grade, B grade, C grade. So now we will see the limited one, limited. So earlier international bidding and national biddings are open. Here we see the limited or restricted, restricted international competitive bidding or national competitive bidding. Limited, right? Limited, limited international bidding, limited national bidding. So these procedures are followed when the invitation to bid is directly addressed, right? Directly addressed to pre-selected list of international or national supplier or contractors. So the procedure is chosen when only few sources are available. So now high tech, very high tech, or you know, for example, the government of Sri Lanka wanted to purchase some uh, the fighters, right, or jet supplier. So in the world there are very few suppliers. So right, very few suppliers. Oh, the Sri Lankan Airlines wanted to purchase some airlines, Airbuses, right? There are very few companies which make Airbuses. So they don't want to advertise in the national newspaper or international website. So what they can do is they can directly address to the that's suppliers, and they can obtain the bids from a limited number of suppliers. All procedures followed under the international competitive bidding and national competitive bidding apply except the requirement for advertising and the domestic preferences. So all the procedures are same, but here they are not advertised in the public newspaper or international website, but rather they are sending the bid document directly. They are address it directly. But anyway, they have to follow other procurement processes. The fourth one is shopping, right? Shopping is a method of procurement which is appropriate for procuring here readily available off the shelf goods of small value, right? The public sector organization wanted to purchase clock, right? Wall clock. The price is less than 1000 or 2000 rupees, so it is readily available. And the bulb, no, the bulb. So in the office, the bulb is fused, and then they replace the new bulb. So the bulb is readily available, right? And the photocopy service, so they can readily available, right? Stationaries, small value items. So the items are readily available of the self goods of small value. Small value commodities for which specifications are standard, and small value works or services, you know, uh, electricity, right? Some right small power issue in the DS office or any public sector organizations. So they want a service from electrician, or they want service from a mason, the carpenter. So they can immediately call them, and they can get the service, and they can make pay. Right? These are small valued items. So for this, they don't want a procurement committee, technician committee, no need. So the items and services are readily available. Right? The specifications are standard. Description specifications are standard. Right? For example, LED bulb specification is a standard. 12 volts mean, right? Whatever the brand, irrespective of the brand, all the specifications are same. right? So the selection is based on the comparison of price quotations obtained from several invited bidders. They are get quotation from shop 1, shop 2, shop 3. At least they want 3 quotations, and based on the quotations they will choose the lowest price supplier. So normally it's happening in most of the public sector organizations. The shopping method is followed. This is most popular for small items. Request for quotation shall be addressed to the individuals or firms born in register of suppliers or contractors and shall indicate the description of the quantity of the goods, time and place of delivery, and warranties. The comparison of quotations shall follow national competitive bidding principles wherever applicable. The term of the accepted offer shall be incorporated in a purchase order. So normally in public sector organizations, every year they call for suppliers, right? Call for suppliers for list of items, and the interested parties will register their names. So what are the items they can supply to the particular institution. So whenever throughout the period, whenever the public sector institute, the organization needs, they call for quotation. Time to time they call for quotations from the registered parties. Here this is one, the registration of suppliers. So you can find there are many registration of suppliers. Here is a large advertisement. So it's a singular language. Kaduvela Municipal Council. So they call for suppliers. So they want these items. So whoever interest to supply this kind of items, they can register. Here there's an application form. They can download the application form and they fill and send. So whenever the municipal council need the item, they will send they will send a letter requesting that this item they want and what they want. Right, this procedure should be applied for procurement of items of small values, or for purchase of items used frequently, for which advertising may be uneconomical. To purchase small bulb, or to purchase a small marker, a highlighter, ruler, pen. So advertising in the newspaper is not economical. So what they can do is they have the list of registered suppliers, and among them they can call for quotation and they can purchase. So the procurement entity may publish a notice for registration of suppliers and prepare a list comprising name of suppliers who are able to supply particular categories of goods and services such as stationery, electrical items, motor vehicle repairs, periodicals and publications, newspaper, like that. So procurement entity must confine shopping to names appearing on the list. So they have a separate list in their office, in the file. So the registered list of suppliers should be updated periodically, at least once a year. Normally, the public sector institutions call for registration of supplier, and they update every year. Yellow pages and rainbow pages. Yellow pages, SLT, Sri Lanka Telecom publishes yellow pages and rainbow pages. So where you can find suppliers, service providers. So when the appropriate authority is satisfied, in case of suppliers of goods, that sufficient number of reputed vendors are registered in the yellow pages and rainbow pages, quotation may be invited from that list. So the public sector institution have two options. One option, they can call for registration of suppliers, and they can keep their own list. The second option is they can choose rainbow pages or yellow pages published by Sri Lanka Telecom. So where you can find so many suppliers, and you can get quotation from that listed the registered suppliers in the SLT rainbow page. So we can visit the SLT rainbow pages. Here there are category. This is a category, right? So for example, I want office items. Here there are again air conditioning equipment system supplier, bulb and CFLs, air conditioning contractors. So I click electric heating elements. Here list of suppliers. So the procuring entity can choose from this list and directly get the quotation from them. Right? Any questions? Any questions? Right. And direct contracting, so directly they can visit, they can call the supplier and they can get the items. So direct contracting is a means of procurement of goods or services or works from a single supplier. They are not they are not receiving quotation from multiple people, multiple supplier. Rather the PE, the public procuring entity, directly request the supplier to do so. So it entails no competition, and shall be used only under exceptional circumstances. So this method is not all the times are motivated, not preferred. So when direct contracting is used under any of the following reasons, the value of the procurement shall be subjected to the upper limits and under guidelines. So there are some upper limits. For example, up to 10,000 or up to 100,000 can purchase from a particular supplier. For example, ABC supplier. The office can directly purchase from said ABC supplier. This method is appropriate under the following circumstances: when the prices or rates are fixed pursuant to legalization by regulatory bodies. There are some items, the price is same. So whatever the supplier, the price is same. For example, uh, milk powder. How much? 1020. So if you purchase from supplier A, they can supply at cost of A, at cost of this value. B, this value. C. So regardless of the supplier, the price is same. So therefore, there's no logic that it has to be purchased. It has to be purchased based on their quotations. No needs. There's no meaning. So the prices are fixed. And the items are standard. Item is standard, and price is fixed. Standardization of equipment or compatibility with existing equipment may justify additional purchase of the same type of goods. For example, in the government office, they have installed Canon printer. So they have to fill the cartridge or the toner. So the toner can be purchased from a particular supplier. For example, John Gill's Office Automation. So this time the item can be purchased from only that supplier. If you advertise, nobody will give quotation, because these people are the sole agents for that providing Canon brand toner. So therefore they can go for direct contracting. The number of such items in the new procurement shall generally be less than 50% of existing numbers. The price shall be reasonable, and the advantages of another make or source of equipment shall have been considered. Right, for the repair of this photocopier or printer, so it should be done by a particular party. So it's better to go for direct contracting. The required equipment is property and obtainable only from one source, such as priority software, proprietary software, textbooks, spare parts, and defense items. The process design requires the purchase of critical items from a particular supplier as a condition of performance guarantee. The photocopier, the printer, Canon printer, photocopier is supplied by a particular supplier. The condition is that in case of any repair, the supplier, particular supplier will do the service. If they violate the condition, and the warranty will be void. So that kind of things may be there. So due to that, they have to go for direct contracting. Repeated order mean so already by following procurement procedure, by obtaining quotations, they have choose a particular XY supplier to purchase a particular item, and throughout the period, in short period, the purchase item is not enough, and they can do the reorder. And earlier the office purchased 100 items and they want 20 more items. At the first instance they have purchased 100 and they want additional 20 in later. So what they can do is, rather than calling for new quotation, they can purchase from the earlier supplier who supply this 100 items. So order placed with the original supplier over a short period of time for a supply of the same good. This is very important. The same good, supply of same goods shall be considered as repeat order. Repeat orders for the procurement of goods may be authorized only in exceptional circumstances. up to limit of 50% of the original contract value. Here already in the previous, the first time they order 100. Now they want how much? They can go for up to 50. In case of 51, they can't put repeat order. So there's a possibility to make fraud. So early at the initial time, they are ordering for very few items, and the particular supplier put quotation at low price. And the second order, the organization, the entity wanted to purchase 1,200 items. So what will happen? Many suppliers will not quote for small number of items. But first they register this supplier, and the second time they order for a large amount. So this time repeat order gives some sort of corruptions. So the maximum limit is 50% of the original contract value, provided that not more than a 6-month period has elapsed from the date of award of the original contract, and procuring entity certify that the necessity for additional requirement was not foreseen and identified at the time the original invitation to bid was issued, and it is not economical to follow the bidding procedure again. So it's getting quotations and advertising invitation for bid in the newspaper. It's a time consuming process, it's a long process. So rather than go for that, they can go for repeat order. So price of goods have not dropped since the original order. So at the time of first order, the price was 200. Now the price is 70 rupees. So in these instances, it is not allowed to go for repeat order. Appropriate procurement committee has no objection to support to such repeat orders. So the procurement committee has no objections, no issue, right? No objection. They have to agree. The procurement committee is the most powerful committee in the procurement process. So prior to placement of repeat orders, the procurement committee shall use its best endeavor to negotiate with the supplier to obtain more favorable terms and conditions. So when they do the repeat order, they can have some sort of negotiations. So earlier we have purchased this amount of items. So again now we purchase additional amount. So they can request for some sort of discount. However, in the procurement committee is of the view that the prices of the particular item displays a downward trend, repeat order should not be authorized. So the price is now is going too low, then the repeat order cannot be performed. Force account. So force account means execution of works by using procuring entities' own personnel and equipment. Here, for example, a particular organization, government sector organization, they wanted to clean its environment, clean its offices. So normally what they do is they call for quotation for cleaning service or the painting of the office. Normally they advertise and call for quotations and award the contract to paint or clean the office. Rather than doing so, the office in charge, the officer, force its employees to do the work, and they allow to use their own equipment. This is called what? Force account. Force, it's compulsory. So in that case, all employees or the particular employees should do that work, even though it's not that's not a routine work of them. Because of the force account, they have to do so. So force account means the execution of works by using procurement entities on personnel, on employees, or on officers and equipment. If procuring entity determines that it has the required workforce, so they have, if procurement entity decides things that the office have, the procuring entity have required number of workforces to undertake execution of such works. So this method is appropriate in the following circumstances. So when quantities are difficult to define in advance, and the contractors are unlikely to bid at reasonable prices, so work should be carried out without interrupting the ongoing work. Emergency situations that need urgent attention. So normally force account may happen in the forces, army, navy, air forces. So they are normally they do their own work. So the construction of building and cleaning the environment and cleaning the road, right, and clean the traffic. So maybe, so these are the not their normal routine work. So rather due to the emergency or due to some difficulties, they forced to do so. This is called force account. Emergency procurement. Procuring entity may utilize this method of procurement. Here, emergency, for example, tsunami, earthquake, flood. So in that situations, the government, the procuring entity does not have enough time to follow the procurement guidelines. So they can go for emergency procurement. So in exceptional circumstances such as man-made or natural disaster, to meet unforeseen social obligations such as other similar situations which shall be determined and declared by Government of Sri Lanka as being emergency situation, which warrant procurement under the provision obtained here. To initiate procurement exceeding the financial threshold stipulated under the guideline of 2.14, a formal approval shall be obtained from the relevant authorities at the first available opportunity. So prior approval, so they have to obtain the prior approval from the, normally they are taking approval from secretary to the ministries. So based on the level of expenditure. Provisions available to meet emergency procurement needs. For works, for which mean a contract, for works not exceeding 25 million rupees, the procuring entity may also use any of the following provisions to meet emergency procurement requirements. The bidding document will disclose an itemized priced bills of quantity based on engineers or consultants' estimate. All bidders who participate in bidding will be allowed to bid a percentage above or below the engineer's consultant estimate. Detail of emergency procurement is given in the procurement manual. For the works, it's mean the construction of building or bridges or whatever the things emergency. So they need some sort of draft cost and draft prices. So in that cases, the engineers independently draft a bill of quantity, the cost estimates. So based on this cost estimates, they can proceed the emergency procurement. So it's based on engineers or consultants estimate. The lowest bid price is selected as the winner provided in the bid is subsequently responsive otherwise. The bidding period may be reduced to 3 days in case of limited bidding by invitation and 7 days when open advertisement. The concession given to the suppliers and the contractors in respect to the advance payment and interim payments will be determined by the National Procurement Agency, and the detail will be included in updated circulars as when procured. The lump sum contract shall be used wherever possible, with milestone payment identified at intermediate levels. Purchase of government institution must be given. Purchase from government institutions like SDC, CECB, from that institution they should prefer, like if they want transport service, they prefer CDB, Ceylon CTB, right? Ceylon Transport Board. And we'll have a small break. And what's the time? Now it's 7:38. We will start at about 8 o'clock, right? Do you have any other lectures?
Sir, we have another lecture at 9 o'clock at the faculty.
Today curfew, no?
But Rao sir is scheduled to conduct the lectures.
Then how many slides? Right, then shall we continue tomorrow morning 7 o'clock? Tomorrow, are you okay? Tomorrow 7 o'clock, are you okay? Morning.
Okay, sir.
Okay, tomorrow then we will wind up the class tomorrow. We can finish all the things tomorrow. Very few slides. Okay, thank you very much. We can meet tomorrow 7 o'clock. We can leave meeting.